After a thrilling finish to last night's game, the Adelitas and Monarchs are back at it today to wrap up this four-game series in San Marcos. For the Monarchs, a walk-off win in the 8th inning last night. Tonight, they look to clinch the series as they take on Hub City in Game 1 of this WPF doubleheader on the official WPF YouTube channel. Brant Freeman alongside Haley McKay. And again, Haley, last night, the Monarchs a thrilling win courtesy of Sarah Vanderford with a walk-off two-run homer.
Sarah Vanderford has hit many home runs in this ballpark with her background as a Texas State softball standout here in her home park. But last night she was phenomenal on both sides of the ball, made some incredible defensive snags over there at third base to keep the Monarchs in it, and then able to deliver the final blow to close it out.
Well, off we go, ready for the fourth and final game of the series, so far led by the Monarchs 2-1. Starting pitcher Trinity Slaughterbeck in the circle today for the Monarchs. She was a winning pitcher last night through the 8th inning of relief, and again picked up the victory. Slaughterbeck now 3-0 versus the Adelitas this year, and has only given up 3 earned runs in 14 innings of work. Hailing from Williamsport, Maryland, and facing the leadoff batter Blaze Behringer for Hub City. We'll also see Lena Reboledo and Taylor Ellsworth in the first inning for the Adelitas. That's in there for a strike, 2-1. Batters 4, 5, and 6 for Hub City. Daisy Munoz, Peyton Lopez, and Marlene Espinoza. And then 7 through 9, Emily Bracamonte, Destiny Brown, and Savannah Wasaki.
Just missed right there from Schlotterbeck. Wanted that call in the circle. Didn't miss by much, just a little bit on the inside part of the plate.
Well, again, what a great game it was last night. Back and forth. Monarchs takes an early 4-0 lead. Adelitas came roaring back, a swing and a miss, and that'll fill the count 3-2. A 3-run 5th inning for the Adelitas tied the game. In the bottom of the 5th, it was a solo homer from Kelly Torres that puts the Monarchs back on top. They added another run to the 6th. But then in the 7th inning, with the Adelitas down to their final out and final strike, it was a free agent pickup from last week, Taylor Ellsworth, with a 2-run shot to tie the game.
Taylor Ellsworth has come through in the clutch so many times throughout her career. I've had the privilege of knowing her since we were in high school. We played travel ball together, and whether it was travel ball, high school, our time at Texas, and their time at Arkansas, and now here in the pros, she just finds a way to get the job done.
Well, and then the drama continued in the bottom of the 7th. Vanderford had a leadoff double, and the Monarchs wound up loading the bases, nobody out, but the Adelitas got out of the jam.
You know, the fact that the Monarchs were able to come back and win in the bottom of the 8th without scoring in the bottom of the 7th says a lot about their fortitude and their grit, because it can be really defeating when you load the bases with no outs, have a chance to walk the game off, can't find a way to push a run across. But the Monarchs, no sweat, came right back and said, all right, no big deal. We'll get 3 more outs and we'll do it again here. So Sarah Vanderford was ready to get out of here and go home, and she was like, this time I'll just go ahead and hit it all the way out of the ballpark.
Well, those two right there, Vanderford and Briley St. Clair, unbelievable last night. And here's a chopper to short, handled by Flaherty for the game's first out. So the combination last night of St. Clair and Vanderford, they went, so let's start with St. Clair. She was 4 for 5, 2 doubles, 2 triples. Can't remember last time I saw a softball player hit 2 triples in a single game. And then Vanderford, a couple of doubles and a home run, the homer to walk off and win it. Well, those two really carried the offense last night. And now Reboledo with a drive to left, and that's gone. Her 3rd homer of the series. These two teams playing a lot of long ball this weekend, and the Adelitas have the early lead over the Monarchs.
We've seen so many home runs in this series that just get out of this ballpark in no time at all. Reboledo gets a pitch on the inner part of the plate and just drives it on a rope. That cleared the fence by maybe 5 or 6 inches, but just enough to get out of this ballpark in a hurry. Great job turning on that inside pitch, staying through it. No chance for Fessler and Emily Hott out there to snag that one.
Something I've noticed, too, all the homers this weekend, not just these two teams, but also Coastal Bend and the Texas Smoke, a lot of them have been line drives on a rope home runs.
That's when you know a hitter is locked in. They're not just getting, you know, one pitch that's left over the heart of the plate that they're absolutely jacking out of the ballpark. They're staying through it. These hot pro bats are definitely making an impact, and pitches that are left over the white part of the plate, especially when they're elevated, these hitters have done some serious damage.
Rolled to third, Lewa Day. The throw across the diamond to Piper for the second out. So, yeah, understand that the teams now have these Marucci Pro Bats, and maybe that explains why we've seen so much of the offense that we have over the first 4 weeks.
The Texas Monarchs and the Texas Smoke received their Pro Bats last week, we were told. So definitely can see the impact in those two teams at bats. I can't confirm nor deny if the Adelitas and the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave are in the same boat, but I'm going to judge by the way the ball's coming off these bats that they've definitely got some good juice in there, that's for sure.
Nobody on, 2 away for Daisy Munoz, shoots that foul. So far in the series, the Monarchs have hit 5 home runs. With that homer, the Adelitas have hit 7 in the series. And the Smoke yesterday, in their 7-6 win over the Tidal Wave, 5 solo homers.
That just goes to show you how talented these hitters are. When you're a pitcher in the WPF, anything that's left over the white part of the plate, it's going to get hit hard. And we've talked about that Friday night. We saw it yesterday night. It's not like these hitters are dropping bloop singles behind third base, shortstop, right in front of the outfield. I mean, when balls are hit hard, they are hammered. Most plays, even when it's hit right at infielders, they're hard. The contact is so solid.
But a good series so far for Munoz. Swings and lines it to Flaherty from her knees, makes the catch. And Slaughterback is out of the first inning, but not before Lina Reboledo bangs out her 3rd homer of the series. And with that, Hub City has claimed an early 1-0 lead here in the finale. Coming to bat next, it is the Monarchs. And we'll see Kylie Sand, Kelly Torres, and Sarah Vanderford to the first. Back after this from St. Marcus. Making her 4th straight appearance in the series is Allie Light, who has been the Adelitas' best pitcher so far this weekend, although she was saddled with a loss last night, but did toss 6 strong innings. And get to the start today for Hub City. Adelitas on top 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the first. Leadoff hitter is Kylie Sand. And on the ground, and that's through under the glove of Munoz at first base. 1 pitch and a base hit for Kylie Sand. So Kylie Sand leading off today, but yesterday it was Briley St. Clair in the leadoff spot, and Haley, an incredible game last night for Briley St. Clair. A couple of doubles and a couple of triples for the Monarchs.
After a night that like Briley St. Clair had last night, I'm shocked to not see her in the leadoff spot or the lineup in general again here today. But maybe perhaps just another opportunity to give someone else some at-bats.
So we're going to look back at St. Clair's night. She actually did score on the homer hit by Vanderford in the 8th inning. And again, a 4-hit night for St. Clair, and not in the lineup today, as Haley said. Meanwhile, moments ago, Kelly Torres with a bunt single. And so with that, we're a couple of pitches into the game and a couple of base runners here for the Monarchs, and it brings up last night's hero, Sarah Vanderford.
A bunt single from Kelly Torres just perfectly executed. It's the second time we've seen a catcher from the Monarchs team lay down a sneaky bunt. Not something you see a ton, but love to see the versatility of these professional athletes, understanding how to read the defense, taking advantage of just 1 or 2 steps back that they might be in their position.
So we were talking about these bats the Monarchs had, these Marucci Pro bats. I was asking you during our last commercial break, had you ever swung with one? And I was asking about a game. You said, not only have I not done that, you've never swung one, period.
No, in my time as a player, Marucci wasn't as prevalent in the softball space. I always heard about him more on the baseball side. And I know when I played at Texas State a couple years ago, the baseball team had Marucci bats and gloves. But I believe it was 1 or 2 years after I finished playing, Texas State switched from Easton-sponsored to Marucci. But I would love to swing one based on how the ball's flying out of the park right now. Even that foul ball we just saw from Vanderford just absolutely smoked.
Swing and a miss. Vanderford goes fishing for a pitch up from Light, strikes out. That's the first out of the game, and a good pitch there from Light that Vanderford couldn't lay off of.
Great job by Allie Light, just climbing the ladder, catching Sarah Vanderford, trying to do a little bit too much. When you're feeling good as a hitter, anytime you see something that looks sweet up in your eyes, it can be a little hard to lay off of. Good execution by Allie Light on that rise ball.
Now it's Lily Piper, herself at a big game on Friday. That ball belted to center, and it's gone. Lily Piper with her second home run of the weekend.
Just another example of such a hard hit ball. Lily Piper wasting absolutely no time, attacking the first pitch. These veteran hitters are all over it this series from all teams across the board.
We were just discussing Piper's big day in game 2 at a 3-hit game to include a home run that day, and this one just golfed it out of here, just shy of the tool shed out in center.
I mean, that was almost off her shoelaces.
Yeah. We noticed that about the Torres home run last night. It was a ball below her knees. I mean, it looked like a literal golf swing with a 5-iron. And Piper, the pro vets, goes deep. And the Monarchs on top 3-1.
I don't even think that pitch from Allie Light was ever in the strike zone. But when you swing at it the way that Lily Piper just did, it doesn't matter. There's certain types of hitters that would rather hit a ball off their shoelaces than one that's maybe right above the belt. It's just all about where your strengths lie. And if you're going to go, you might as well go with conviction and see what happens. So Lily Piper saw something that she could hit it hard, and she didn't miss it.
These two teams have combined for 13 home runs now in 3+ games. I see you shaking your head. I mean, I feel like there are times a college team can go an entire season without hitting 13 home runs.
Oh, for sure. It depends what type of team you're made up of. I mean, clearly on all sides of the rosters in this series, and as well as the smoke and the tidal wave, the lineups are stacked. But what it tells me about just the home runs in this series alone is the pitchers have got to step up. Mm-hmm. You know at this point what the hitters are capable of. So if I'm a pitcher facing another lineup, I have to challenge myself to hit spots on the corners, keep the ball below the knees, and execute the game plan. Maybe mix in some more off speeds to set up a rise ball, for example. You've got to find a way to work ahead in the count. Because like I've said already, and I'm sure we'll probably revisit this point again, balls left over the heart of the plate are just getting hit way too hard.
Yes, they are. Emily Hott with a moonshot to left center. It cleared both fences, almost reached the train coming down the tracks. And that is a back-to-back home run sequence for the Monarchs.
I don't know how many other ways you can say it, but these balls are just getting crushed. Emily Hott gets one out over the heart of the plate again, waist high, just absolutely demolishes it.
Boy, again, the ball's not leaking over the fence right now.
And it's worth noting, it's a little sticky out here. It's not like we're playing at a high altitude. I mean, sometimes in elevation, you see balls just fly out of the ballpark when it's cool and dry, a little bit thinner air, but man, these hitters are just absolutely destroying the ball right now.
It's like wiffle ball right now. 0-1 to Leywood Day. Soft grounded to third, handled by Bracamonte for the second out.
Good job by Allie Light going right back at Leywood Day. These are the types of spots you have to execute as a pitcher against lineups like the Texas Monarchs. Balls flying out of here. We know balls over the heart of the plate are going to get crushed. Have to find a way to get hitters to chase, work from ahead, locate the corners. And your defense has to make the routine plays. With the way the ball's leaving the yard, any extra outs or opportunities to score looks like they're going to be taken advantage of.
You know, and you said, which I agree with, you know, for a pitcher, then you have to keep the ball down. But we've seen some of these home runs hit at the shoe tops. Even balls down are leaving the yard.
That's a good point. I think to that effect, you have to find a way then as a pitcher to change speeds, right? Use your full arsenal to keep the hitters off balance in another way.
Well, that's going to end the inning. But again, the Texas Monarchs go deep twice. Back-to-back home runs, Lily Piper and Emily Hott. For Piper, a 3-run shot. For Hott, a solo bomb. And with that, it's 4-1 Monarchs over the Adelitas. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Jamie Wars' team was really struggling to score runs, but something's gotten into this offense as of late. They scored 5 runs a week ago Sunday in the finale of the series against the Smoke, 9 of the opener in their run rule victory over the Monarchs in this series, 5 more runs in Game 2 on Friday, and they put up another 6 last night. And her offense again has some work to do after giving up 4 in the bottom of the first. Her team down 4-1 as we head to the second.
You can tell these hitters have definitely made some adjustments. And again, if I'm a pitcher in this league and I see hitters start to make adjustments, you have to take some pride in your craft, feel challenged to find a way, create an answer. Got to keep some runs off the board here if you're a pitching staff in this league.
And with the way the ball is just exploding off of the bat, what tells me that no lead is safe in this game.
Definitely not.
You know, there are times, you know, in the game of softball, you get a team up 3 with a really good pitch in the circle. That's it. 3-run lead in the second or third inning can be the ball game. But these 4 teams this weekend, 3 runs is not safe.
I would definitely argue, based on what we've seen here in San Marcos for the season's body of work, aside from probably the Texas Smokes pitching staff, the hitters are definitely taking charge in this league.
Even Samantha Schau, though, arguably one of the better pitchers in the league, got tagged for a few runs yesterday against Coastal Bend. Lopez with a ground ball to short, and Flaherty has to go through the wickets. She's played so well at shortstop, but that ball got underneath the glove, touched it a little bit with her leather. That's an error, and the leadoff runner is on.
Looks like Flaherty just pulled her head up a bit too soon here. Took her eye off the ball for a split second. Definitely a routine play that she would like to have back. Goes down as an error. But now the Adelitas have a chance to respond here.
Bunt play, Piper. Well, she was cheating in so much, charged the ball so well. That's why she got there so fast and had to play second base. So the bunt put down, but the Adelitas unable to advance the lead runner, and Piper a good veteran play.
It's a great job as a first baseman. Lily Piper had to turn all the way around here to be able to get that lead runner just because of where the ball was placed. If that bunt is deadened just a little bit more or pulls Lily Piper a little bit more towards the first baseline, the Adelitas would be able to advance Lopez over to second safely, but great job defensively to get the lead out.
Count 0-1 to Emily Bracamonte with the runner at first and one down. At the plate, but a little bit up there from Schlotterbeck. A ball and a strike to Bracamonte. On the ground, off of Schlotterbeck's glove. She throws a second, and again, the Monarchs erase the lead runner.
If Espinoza slides into second base here, she's safe. There's no reason why this shouldn't be safe at second and first because of Schlotterbeck's decision to try to get the lead runner. But if she slides in there, she's safe. Good job by Schlotterbeck to knock it down, make a strong throw over to first, but a base running miscue there for the Hub City Adelitas.
Again, this is game one of our doubleheader. Coming up, the second and final game of the day, eighth and final game of the weekend. Texas Smoke playing for a sweep against Coastal Bend. Looking at the WPF standings now, the Smoke 13-1. They've won 10 straight. A 5-game lead over the Monarchs for first. Monarchs 8-6. They are 4 ahead of the Tidal Wave, who are in third place at 4-10. That's fouled away. Strike one of the Adelitas at 3-11. They're in fourth. But to the credit, I think they've been far more competitive this week than we saw the last 2 weekends.
Definitely, like you mentioned earlier, the Adelitas are swinging the bats much more aggressively. They're swinging at quality pitches. And, you know, we talked about the addition of the free agent Taylor Ellsworth in last week's series. Not to say that she's single-handedly contributed to the jump in the offensive numbers, but sometimes with someone with a veteran experience like Ellsworth has, can just kind of settle a team down a little bit.
Flaherty makes that play this time. That'll end the inning. So an error started the frame, but nobody comes home to score for Hub City. And with that, the Monarchs still maintain a 3-run lead. We're heading into the bottom of the second inning. Monarchs trying to win the series today. They're batting when we return here in San Marcos. How about the way that Candace Finn Bachrader's team has responded after a tough start to the year, opening the season against the reigning Texas Smoke champions, the reigning champion Texas Smoke, I should say. Well, her team lost the first 3 games. Since then, they've won 8 of their last 11 to include the last 2 games of this series, and on top of the finale right now, 4-1 as we head to the bottom of the second.
There's no doubt that the Monarchs are a talented squad, but when you come together in a league like this, right out of the gate, you haven't had much practice time as a group. You're still figuring out all the different personalities. All these athletes are very talented and likely play multiple positions. So what combination of athletes is going to make the most sense? But as you said, Brant, Coach Candace Fenton Brink, head coach of the Monarchs, has found the right plugs to play and has got the team rolling.
See a shot of the dugout there to include last night's starting pitcher, Sona Halajan. Got a no decision for the Monarchs in the circle. 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. Had a strikeout and a couple of walks. One of the longer outings she's had this year. Jada Kearney, the leadoff batter. Cats 2-1. Kearney from Columbus, New Jersey, played her college softball at Georgia. Fouled away, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Jada Kearney was such a strong presence during her time as a Bulldog in Georgia. Absolute staple in the lineup. during her time. Well-feared hitter in the SEC.
The Bulldogs this year played at the Super Regionals over the course of her career. Numbers awfully impressive. One of the great power hitters in the history of the Georgia program. A .343 hitter at Athens, 60 home runs with 179 RBI. Base is empty. Leadoff batter here, Kearney. Facing off against Allie Lights. Light over the last 3 days, 13 2/3 innings of work for her. Pitched really well in the win on Thursday. It was a two-pitcher combination between she and Lexi Handley that got the win. Also pitching yesterday and Friday, and Kearney here pops up. Play made by Behringer and one away here in the second.
Good job by Allie Light of Hub City Adelitas to just continue to battle against Jada Kearney. It can be really tough as a pitcher when you see the ball leave the yard the way that it has today, to just keep going at hitters, able to get Jada Kearney to foul off both the outside and the inside half of the plate. Finally got her to induce a pop-up for out number 1.
And now the 9-hole hitter, Devin Flaherty. Grounder to the first baseman, and Daisy Munoz right in position. Easy out there for Lights. 2 up and 2 down.
That's exactly what you want to see as a coach after giving up 4 hits and 4 runs in the first inning. Have your pitcher come right back out in the circle, work from ahead, get 2 quick outs. This is how you start to chip away into a lead. It starts defensively, taking the momentum back on your side, keeping the other team off the board.
Now Kylie Sand with nobody on and 2 away. Sand putting a bunt down, stays fair. Bracamonte has no play at third. And Sand is on for the second time today.
These professional athletes are so gifted at deadening the bunt. We've seen it so many times. Sand comes through the box, and you can see she just gets the ball right off the end of her bat. Absolutely no chance for Bracamonte at third to make a play. Smart to put it in her pocket there. No need to waste a throw and risk throwing it away for extra bases.
So far in the series, the Monarchs have been really good with 2 outs. With that bunt single, they are now 8 for 17 with 2 outs in the series. And now the batter is Kelly Torres. Had a bunt single over onto the first. And again, yesterday golfed out a home run against Allie Light. Came in the 5th inning. That's high, a ball and a strike. More about Allie Light, has pitched in a lot of high-leverage games. 3 years at San Diego State. She was the Mountain West Conference Pitcher of the Year in 2023. Twice named to the Mountain West's All-Tournament team. And during her time with the Aztecs, she and her shortstop teammate, McKenna Brocky, although Brocky not out there today, it's Marlene Espinoza instead. But those two with the Aztecs went to the NCAA tournament each of the last 3 years.
Getting to the NCAA tournament is so tough to do consistently, especially as a mid-major program, because you don't have the luxury of that RPI boost that comes with just your regular conference season. So you have to earn those top 25 wins, or those quad 4 wins, I should say, meaning the top 25 teams in the RPI standings, which go a long way in the eyes of the selection committee come the end of the season. And that's tough, because think about how much growth can happen from February to May. So as a mid-major program, you pretty much have to come out and start playing your best ball right out of the gate. Or if you don't, you have to figure it out quickly, because if you miss your opportunity to collect those Power 4, Power 5 wins, you're going to be in a tough spot come postseason time.
That's a great point, because you look at the teams that made the tournament this year, 13 out of the SEC. Some might be wondering, well, wait a minute, they had a losing record in conference play. How is that? How does that qualify them for a regional? But when you're playing LSU and Tennessee and Georgia and all these SEC programs week in and week out, it does nothing but boost the RPI.
And also, numbers aside, you're playing the top competition week after week after week. So you have the luxury of already playing the best of the best when it comes time where you have to perform. It can be hard to go from a mid-major program, and I mean no disrespect to other conferences by saying this, but when you're not playing the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC level teams week in and week out, it can be a little bit harder to turn it on come postseason time when you really have to win with your back against the wall.
So again, it makes the accomplishment for the Aztecs during their 3-year stretch with Light and Brocky really impressive. This year they played at the LA Regional hosted by the Bruins. Swung on and fouled away. Torres staying alive here. Kelly Torres herself, part of a program that went deep into the postseason. Duke made it all the way to Oklahoma City. That was a stacked team as well. Jayla Wright, who now pitches for the Smoke, ACC's Pitcher of the Year. And Torres' fellow teammate Claire Davidson, the Player of the Year in the conference. Rolls out to short, charging in Espinosa. And we are through 2 innings here at Bobcat Softball Stadium. So Allie Light, after giving up 4 in the first, puts up a donut in the second. Now her teammates coming to bat, trailing by 3. Back out at Bobcat Softball Stadium, fans enjoying some ballpark concessions here for game 1 of this doubleheader. Kind of leads me to a question I was asked yesterday by our crew. What is your favorite go-to movie theater snack? And for me, I'm kind of a traditionalist, popcorn, soda type of guy. But then they countered with, well, what about sweets? I'm not really a candy guy in the theater, but if I do go that route, Junior Mints. What about you?
That's a unique choice, Junior Mints. My gut reaction was sour candy, which is ironic that comes to my mind in the movies because I'm not a big candy person either. I love sweets, but not candy per se, and I don't prefer chocolate candy, so I'm going Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm very selective about candy if I have any at all.
Yes.
Those who get a Hershey bar and just break off a piece of chocolate after chocolate, I don't get it. Meanwhile, we got a base hit to start this inning. Savannah Wasaki with a high chopper. Got behind Lewa Day, who was charging in, and by the time Flaherty gloved it, there was no play in the infield.
We've seen perfectly placed sacrifice bunts. Now we have a perfectly executed chop slap. Wasaki just bouncing that ball so high right out in front of home plate. No play for either Day or Flaherty over at short. Great execution there.
I will say this, though. I'm usually one or the other. I'm not the type that has bucket of popcorn, box of Junior Mints at the same time.
Well, I don't feel like mint and popcorn really go together, but I can get down with sour candy and popcorn.
Now, one thing my daughter loves to do is mix the two together.
No.
Popcorn and candy, and like make this like casserole of sorts, of movie snacks.
That I can't get on board with. Although, circling back to your Hershey bar comment, I guess I'm one of the weirdos because I do love a good Hershey bar every now and then. If I'm going to go just classic candy, it's going to be chocolate.
So really the only two go-tos for me are Junior Mints and Gummy Bears. Ground ball, and that's through the right side, past the glove of Kylie Sand. So Blaze Behringer beats out a base hit. She's coming off a good game last night. And just like that, the Adelitas have a couple of runners on and nobody out.
Great placement here from Behringer. Kylie Sand, the second baseman, was shaded up the middle just a touch, making sure that she could get over there in the event they needed to turn a double play. Behringer was able to get around that pitch from Slaughterbeck just enough. Good job by Sand to knock it down and slow it down just enough so Wasaki couldn't advance up to third.
Again, a series here between Hub City and the Texas Monarchs. A couple of weeks ago, these two faced off for the first time, and it was a 4-game sweep for the Monarchs. Hub City battling back and winning the opener this week. And the franchise's first ever run rule, a 9-1 win. Monarchs battle back to win game 2, and again game 3 last night. And out of the plate, one of the hotter bats, Lena Reboledo, homered off of Slaughterbeck back in the first.
Reboledo thought about flashing a bunt there. Could be trying to bait Day up to make Flaherty at short have to go over and cover the steal.
That rolls off the glove of Torres, and both runners advance. And so the wild pitch will put both Wysocki and Behringer in scoring position here. Got a dangerous count, 2-0. And after Reboledo, it's Ellsworth and then Munoz.
This is just another classic example of being able to make the routine plays and not give away extra bases with things like pass balls, hit by pitches, walks, errors. There's no holes in these lineups. And while both Wasocki and Behringer absolutely earned their way on base, giving up a pass ball and putting them in scoring position does not do you any favors defensively as the Texas Monarchs.
These two will only meet once more this season, the final week of the regular season in Lubbock. It'll be the only time the Monarchs go to play Hub City at their place. 2-2, and that's a base hit to the right center gap. Gonna score a couple of runs. Reboledo to second base. A 3 RBI day, and it is a 1-run game.
Great piece of hitting from Lena Reboledo. Emily Hott, the Monarch center fielder, was shaded just a little bit over towards the left center gap. She does a good job of cutting this off. Tries to throw out Reboledo at second, but just a little bit of a double clutch there. Every second counts in this sport. Reboledo able to slide in safely, and as you said, Brant, now responsible for all 3 runs on the board for the Adelitas.
All right, so here we go. Reboledo at second as the tying run is Ellsworth looks at ball 1. Still nobody out, top of the third. And what seems to be a very offensive day at the ballpark. One ball, no strikes. Now the count evens 1-1. Next week in the WPF, the Adelitas are at home hosting the Texas Smoke. Smoke making their first visit to Lubbock this year. And the Monarchs are going back to Robstown to take on Coastal Bend. Those who played each other last week. And Hott will make this catch in center for the inning's first out.
Good location there from Schlotterbeck. The pitch prior, Schlotterbeck went to the curveball, got it called for a strike, and that sets up the screwball that induced the flyout of Ellsworth. Ellsworth had the outside part of the plate in her mind, then Schlotterbeck came back inside with a screwball and was able to jam her up for an easy flyout.
So again, Trinity Schlotterbeck in the circle for the Monarchs today. She's had good numbers in the ballpark this year. 3-1. Playing here at Bobcat Softball Stadium, more than 25 innings. An ERA of 3.27. Not a huge strikeout pitcher, though, not at least at this level. 8 strikeouts in those 25 innings, that's been it, with 10 walks. But you look at what she did at Maryland and at FAU, some great numbers in the circle. With the Owls this year, 16 wins and a sub-3 ERA. 2 balls and 1 strike to Daisy Munoz.
We haven't really seen any overpowering strikeout pitchers in this league in general. It's been heavily dominated by the offensive side. And even the pitchers that have had success have relied heavily on their defenses.
There's a pop-up to the right side. Easily handled by Lily Piper. Munoz is 0 for 2. 2 outs after the first 3 batters reaching on hits. That's going to bring up Peyton Lopez. More Stotterbeck, though, and her final start as an Owl this year, had 9 strikeouts in a game against Florida Gulf Coast. But as you said, the bats at this level have just been so good. Every pitch in the league, has really struggled to get through these lineups. We've only seen a handful of complete games so far, and even then, Jaden Vickers for the Monarchs, not huge strikeout numbers. In the win for the Monarchs on Friday, not a ton of strikeouts, but she did have 9 against that smoke lineup in opening weekend.
And even the arms that have gone a complete game, they've typically been higher scoring. So the offense on the flip side has had their pitchers back and responded and taken that lead back, which then as a coach gives you a little bit more confidence to lengthen that leash a little bit. If you're in a tight 1-0, 2-0 ball game, or 5-3, for example, you have to make some quicker decisions when hitters start to make adjustments.
Yeah, Vickers gave up 5 runs and 11 hits in her complete game win on Friday. 2-0 here to Peyton Lopez. Rebolado at second base and 2 down. On the ground, great play by Day from her knees, and the throw completes the play for Laywood Day. So Day starting in place of Sarah Vanderford at third. Vanderford's plays so well the hot corner, but Day making plays of her own.
How about Laywood Day just laying out, plenty of time, great throw from her knees. Love to see it over at third base.
Leading off here in the third inning for the Monarchs is Sarah Vanderford. And again, Vanderford, what a series so far. 4 for 11, couple of homers, couple of doubles, 6 runs batted in. And again, the huge swing last night at opposite field, walk-off 2-run shot of the 8th inning as her team beat the Adelitas 8-6.
I don't know about you, Brant. We've had the luxury of watching Sarah Vanderford for many years now from this view. But since both of us are very familiar with Texas State and do a lot of their home games, but it just feels like Vanderford is really coming to her own here as a pro. She's just enjoying the game, not letting the moment get too big or too small. Sometimes as a Texas State Bobcat, you could feel like she just kind of had the weight of the world on her shoulders, understanding her job as a senior, as a leader, to be that run producer as she's done so many times. But just feels like she's got a different life to her a little bit. That pressure's really rolled off her back.
Really hasn't missed a beat. I mean, the way her college career ended, on the top of the world, she was the Sun Belt Tournament's most outstanding player. Wound up setting the program record for home runs this year, was named first team All Sun Belt Conference, and the transition to this level, again, it's been seamless for her.
A lot of that probably in part to the fact that she didn't take a ton of time off from facing live pitching. But again, Sarah Vanderford is so talented, and just because she came from a quote-unquote smaller program does not mean that she wasn't highly recruited to other top programs in the country. She just happened to grow up in this area, watching her brother come to school here at Texas State, loved the area, and thought, from day one, this is where I want to be, and this is what feels like home.
A couple of doubles for Vanderford last night. Had a chance to reference her again a couple of times as the doubles queen, as she was known at Texas State. One of the top doubles hitters in the country this year as well. Banged out 26. That's inside, and it fills the count to Vanderford 3-2.
What's so impressive to me about Sarah Vanderford as a hitter is Sarah Vanderford can do damage on pitches that aren't even in the strike zone. And anytime you have a hitter that can not only crush what's over the white, but can crush things that are pitchers' pitches, they're so tough to get out.
That is a foul ball and just foul outside the line. Well,
Can't get any closer than that.
About to say the Queen was ready to grab her crown again.
She heard you reference it. This is where I wish we had live chalk, because you might have seen some fly here. Our third base umpire is all over it, right on the call.
Yeah, Jenna Bouillon had a good look at it. Just foul. Didn't see really any argument on Vanderford's behalf or from that Monarch dugout. Light struck her out the first time they faced each other and gets Vanderford to pop up here. So Vanderford 0 for 2 after homering off of Light last night, and one away here in the third.
Allie Light's done a really nice job of settling into this ball game. Rough first inning, gave up 4 runs on 4 hits. But since then, she's only given up a bunt single.
Yeah, after the back-to-back homers, you're right, she has retired 6 of the last 7 she's faced. Now to the plate, Lily Piper. Drilled a home run to center, bringing in 3 runs off her bat. And here ahead, a ball to no strikes.
I like the decision there from Allie Light to try to work up in the zone. That home run that Lily Piper blasted on the first pitch of her at bat was never in the strike zone and pretty much golfed off of her shoelaces. So Allie Light said, all right, I'm going to try to stay up in the top of the zone instead, and she's going to have some success with that plan.
2 up, 2 down as Piper flies out. Lily Piper, the only Buckeye in program history at Ohio State to finish each of her seasons hitting 400 or better.
It's always impressive when hitters like Lily Piper can not only hit for power, but hit for average. You can't, as a hitter, go up there and expect to crush a double, a triple, a home run every single time. You have to be okay with singles here and there and understand that the power numbers aren't everything. If you're a home run or a strikeout type of hitter, that's difficult as a coach to justify keeping you up in the lineup to get you a lot of at-bats. So to be able to hit for power and average is important.
Out of the plate, Emily Hott. Solo homer of her own of the first inning. Hott this year at Baylor, a career-high 11 home runs. After hitting just 9 in her first 4 seasons. 2-0 from Light. And awaiting on deck here for the Monarchs, Leywood Day. A win would put them 3 games over 500 for the first time this season. And trying to cement that lead for second place in the standings. Currently, they are 4 games up on Coastal Bend as Hott walks on 4 pitches.
Can see some frustration from Allie Light here in the circle. Trying to go to that screwball. Not able to get the call from home plate umpire Robert Hines. Says where as a catcher behind the plate, you have to communicate with the umpire, understand where that's missing, and then be able to help your pitcher make that adjustment.
Bracamonte able to make the toss to Munoz at first, and after the walk to Hott, no damage done for the Monarchs in the bottom of the third. This is a 1-run game as we head to the 4th inning, 4-3 Monarchs over Hub City. Brent Freeman alongside Haley McKay with you on this Sunday afternoon, slightly overcast. Temperatures not too hot given the time of year, by 85 degrees outside. As we go to the top of the fourth inning in a one-run game. Monarchs on top of the Adelitas 4-3. Hub City trying to even the series. And the Monarchs playing for their second series win against Hub City this year. Fourth inning of work for Trinity Slaughterbeck. It is 1 ball and 1 strike to Marlene Espinosa. Espinosa, a couple of hits last night, putting a bunt down. That's going to be gloved in fair territory by Piper. And did she apply the tag? No. Robert Hines, our home plate umpire, made the call. Piper not happy about that. Kind of looking back at Robert Hines, and now Coach Finn Bachbitter talking to him as well.
You can tell by the reaction of Lily Piper and the fact that she didn't even attempt to throw to first tells me that she knows that she got her. Because if you're a defender and you know you missed the tag, you're going to make that throw over to first base because she had plenty of time. But a very emphatic reaction from Piper.
I think she's also wondering why Mario Calabrese didn't step in at first and show her anything, whether she was out or safe.
After a conversation, they're going to stick with their safe call. Take another look at this. Ooh, to me, that angle looks like she missed her.
This might be a better look at it here. Yeah, it does. It looked like Espinosa was able to arch her back out of the way. Yeah, she didn't tag her.
I mean, maybe there's a chance that the tip of the glove kind of brushed Espinosa on the back as she ran by, but after looking at the replay, I completely understand why the umpire is stuck with the safe call because it's not obvious that there was a tag. So I'm guessing Piper either felt something that didn't show up in real time, because to me, there's no way you react like that as a defender unless you know you're 100% sure that you tagged her.
That's a great point. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that Piper's going off field there, but I would say this too. We talked about there not being replay in the WPF. If there were and they would look back at that play, there was nothing about the replay angles that was definitive to overturn it. The original call would have to stand.
Yes, 100%. And as a former first baseman, if I know that I missed the runner running down the line, I would have turned to make the throw because it's not like it was a bang-bang play and she ran out of time. Piper was in position and could have easily done that. So to your point, it had to have been based off of feel, and that feel just didn't translate into a visual tag that the umpires could identify.
Meanwhile, Slaughterbeck records her first strikeout of the game, gets Bracamonte swinging. 1 out, now Destiny Brown, the former Southern Miss Golden Eagle. A ball and no strikes. Haley, are you a fan of Topgolf?
I am. It's a little challenging for me as a former softball player, though, I'm not going to lie. The ball either goes about 2 inches or 200 yards, and I can't figure out how to decide.
Day's throw not in time. Brown beats it out, putting down a bunt. And she's on for the first time, and the Adelitas again threatening 2 runners on here in the fourth.
We've seen long balls, and now we've seen the short game come into play. Monarchs right now unable to find an out off the short game of Adelitas. Another perfectly dead and bunt. Good hustle getting down the line from Brown. Definitely beats it out.
And so a timeout called by pitching coach Tyler Gunnelson, visiting with Slaughterbeck in the infield defense. I was asking about Topgolf for a reason, not just a random question.
I figured.
Right. So, there's been talks about having a kind of a baseball, softball style.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah, style thing. And let's say they go through with that, where you can go and you can hit off a tee or off of a machine or whatever, but it's not quite batting cage. It's larger like Topgolf is. But I would say the caveat for softball has to be with these bats.
Oh, yeah, it's not fun if you can't swing a pro bat.
Bats, right, yeah.
Yeah, I want the pro bat if I'm going to do it.
Uh-huh.
But we need to find a way to talk to someone to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Because that sounds fun. I do enjoy Topgolf, don't get me wrong, but it's very difficult to make the adjustment from the softball swing down to golf.
You see, the thing about batting cages, too, is that, there's a net, and you can't really enjoy how far is that really going to travel, right? If you can have kind of an open air area with these bats and the way – now, granted, these are pros, so they're going to hit it farther than the average person, but just imagine going out there with your buddies, having a couple of drinks, and getting a chance to, hit some balls a long way.
There needs to be – I don't know if you had this when you were growing up, but I had a toy where you could stomp on it and it would toss the ball up. I feel like that's how you could kind of do it instead of having a tee, because hitting a moving ball is more fun than hitting it off a tee.
Oh, 100%.
So, but you can't have someone out there tossing because they'll, of course, be in danger.
That's behind Flaherty, lands in the outfield, throw to third for the force play, not in time. Espinosa had to wait because there's a chance Flaherty might catch that ball. After it landed, Espinosa got to third in time, and now the bases are loaded.
Really tough play for Flaherty at short. It's blooped over her shoulder, has to take a drop step. Fessler comes in to field it from left, and she might have a chance to get Espinosa at third if she doesn't one-hop that throw over today at third base. Good base running by Espinosa, because as you said, she had to hold up, and that's not easy to do.
So a bloop single for Savannah Wysocki, and the bases are loaded. Top of the order batting, third time facing Slaughterback. It is Espinosa at third, Brown at second, and Wysocki at first. The batter here, Blaze Behringer, is ahead 2-0. And you think about how we got here. An infield single that went up the first base line about halfway towards the bag. And then a bunt single from Brown, and Wysocki with a little bloop just over the shortstop.
Very different from the slugfest we saw in the first inning of the Monarchs with 4 hits and 4 runs with some monster moonshots. But, if I'm the Adelitas here in this situation, the Monarchs haven't proven that they can handle the short game. So there's no reason to really change the game plan here. With Behringer up, also goes to the short game.
Torres makes a play, and that is a massive out there for the Monarchs. In that situation, you want one of two things, a strikeout or a pop-up within the infield in foul territory behind the plate, even better.
Great job by Lily Piper over at first as well to come in and cover home plate. With Torres vacating the plate, that ball's in foul territory. She could have easily forgotten about Espinosa over at third. Espinosa did tag up, try to see if she could catch the Monarchs sleeping, but good job covering their positions and in rotation there. Now we're going to have a pitching change.
We will. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, your Slaughterback's in a lot of trouble right now. Third time seeing the order here. But maybe more importantly, seeing Lena Reboledo for a third time, who hit her for a home run and a double. And so with that, Coach Fenton Bachbrader now going to bring in Jaden Vickers to try to get out of the jam. And more importantly, try to retire Reboledo here with no damage done.
That's a great point, Brant. With the bases loaded, Reboledo already with 3 RBIs on the day.
So Vickers getting loose right now. And again, she threw a complete game in Friday's win for the Monarchs. Numbers then for Jaden Vickers, 7 innings, 5 earned runs, although a lot of the damage done early, only gave up 1 over the final 5 innings. Couple of walks, couple of strikeouts. Something really interesting last night was that Vickers, late in the game, came up at a pinch hitting situation, and we had no record of her, at least in the stats that we could find on the fly, having hit while she was playing at Kentucky and before that Rutgers.
Definitely an interesting decision. Now we're going to see her back in the circle where she's most comfortable and has had the most success. Lily Piper is also going to come off of first base and move behind the plate. A lot of times you'll see swaps of the pitcher and the catcher to keep that good battery mate with the good rapport with the battery mate, excuse me.
So yeah, Piper now wearing the gear. That'll take Torres into the dugout, and now at first base is Susie Brookshire here for the Monarchs. So a lot of moving parts here, all in an effort to keep this lead intact. 4-3 Monarchs, the bases are loaded. And now 2 outs in the inning, and the hottest bat in the lineup today at the plate.
Jaden Vickers has to go right at Rebeledo here. Can't afford to fall behind in this count, especially with the bases loaded.
First pitch in the dirt for ball one. In the game on Friday, Rebeledo against Vickers, 1 for 4, but the one hit was a 2-run homer. All the base runners, a lot of speed as well. One gets the gap, could clear the bases. Just below the knees, 2-0.
To your point, Brand, of speed on the bases, I swear as a defender you have to understand who's running, what options you have available. With the bases loaded, you could go several different places as an infielder. So anything that's a slow developing play, trying to go up the middle or trying to get the force out at third is going to be difficult with speed on the bases.
Over at third, Espinosa, Brown at second, Wysocki at first. Monarchs 1 out away from getting out of the jam. Just saw a swinging strike from Rebeledo. Ellsworth is on deck. 2-1. Just above the letters. Got to be careful here for Vickers now.
Great patience from Rebeledo, especially in the series finale. Could be easy to come in and try to be overly aggressive because you've seen Vickers already in this series before. But Rebeledo understanding the situation, forcing Vickers to come to her, not chasing anything that she knows that she can't drive.
Were you surprised Rebeledo taking there?
I am a little bit. That was a good 3-1 pitch to attack. Hitters count. Now she's got to protect with 2 strikes.
Runners are going on contact here. Full count, 3-2. Foul back, we'll do it again. So far in the series, with runners in scoring position, the Adelitas are 8 for 28. In the loss last night, they left 6 runners on. Got the bases juiced here. Rebeledo already a 3 RBI day. The former Kentucky Wildcat Vickers gets Rebeledo to pop up into center. Hot is there, and the Adelitas strand 3. So Vickers out of the pin and out of a jam. And the lead for the Monarchs remains intact. The Adelitas load them up but cannot score. It is still 4-3 Monarchs on top of Hub City. Monarchs escaping the top of the 4th inning. The Adelitas loaded the bases, brought up Lena Rebeledo with a Jaden Vickers out of the bullpen on a full count after falling behind at 3-1. Able to get Rebeledo to fly out to center to end the threats, and with that, it's still a 1-run lead for the Monarchs, and now batting here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Leadoff hitter, Sarah Fessler. 1 ball and 1 strike. So for Slaughterbeck, starting pitcher for the Monarchs, assuming she doesn't come back into the game. Her numbers final 3 2/3, giving up 3 runs, 2 in the earned off 7 hits, with no walks and a strikeout. Meanwhile, Light staying in the circle for Hub City, the starter today, and has eaten up a majority of the innings for the Adelitas in this series. It feels to me that the separation we see in the standings, the Smoke, 13-1. Nobody else with more than 8 wins this season is because of their pitching depth. For some of these other 3 teams, it feels like they ride the hot hand and will use a pitcher, primarily throughout the series, like we've seen Hub City do with Light here. But for the Smoke, they can run out Samantha Shaw. They can run out Jayla Wright. They have Jordan Dale. They have Jessica Mullins, Estelle Check. The pitching depth is really feels unparalleled.
That was something I was just thinking about, and thinking of how Allie Light has fought the Adelitas back into this game from the circle. Rough first inning. She's found a way to keep them off balance since. Able to get the Adelitas back in the game, make it a 1-run game. But if Allie Light runs into any trouble here going forward, Hub City has really struggled to have a number 2 arm in the circle, and especially with day 4 of the series, Sunday finale, there's nobody that the Monarchs haven't seen on the Adelita pitching staff. So not only are you familiar with what they throw, but they're not locating spots well. It's either all ball on plate or it's a ball. That's a tough mountain to climb, especially with the way that these hitters are swinging the bats right now.
One other pitcher left out with the Smoke, Autumn Pease, who, by the way, was the pitcher of the year in the league a year ago. And also pitched a lot in one of the earlier games of the series against Coastal Bend, which, by the way, again, those two playing each other in the final game of the week, final game of the day. It is scheduled for a 4 o'clock start, Coastal Bend and the Texas Smoke. Smoke won the opener Thursday 7-1, scoring 7 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Then a 9-0 run rule on Friday as Fessler rolls that one foul. Yesterday, far more competitive, 7-6 game. And the tidal wave almost came back from 3 runs down to the 7th inning to tie it.
That's one thing that the standings don't really show. You look at the Smoke dominating the league, but they haven't run ruled everyone. There's been come from behind victories. Coastal Bend had them on the ropes yesterday. It's not like they're walking in here despite the loaded roster that we've talked about on the Smoke and just crushing everyone.
Yeah.
It hasn't been easy for them to get to the top of the league. Now, they certainly have found ways to put games out of reach and score a ton of runs with 2 outs. That makes it feel like they're by far and away the dominant players, but the stats don't tell the full story. And you could also argue on the flip side, the stats don't really tell the full story for the other 3 teams in the league either.
Full count to Fessler. That ball drilled to right center, and that's going to bounce into the glove of Wysocki and right. Fessler on her horse to second, and she's in safely with a leadoff double. Second time today the leadoff batter's reached here for the Monarchs at a good start to the bottom of the 4th inning.
What a great at-bat from Sarah Fessler. Fouled off several inside pitches, finally gets an outside pitch. Not easy to square that up after you've had to battle high and tight on your body over and over again from Allie Light. You can see a little bit of relief there from Sarah Fessler sliding into second base. She was thinking, too, all the way out of the box. Great hitting, great base running.
Here's Kearney going to the gap in left center. Fessler wheels around third, and that's going to increase the lead to 5-3. Jada Kearney coming through with the base hits. And now a 2-run advantage for the Monarchs.
Great job by Jana Kearney, just not wasting any time. Got a pitch on the inner half that she could handle, outer half rather, just gets around it. Pulls it out into left center. Sarah Fessler just scoring easily from second base.
So a double and a single and a run scoring has started the inning here for the Monarchs, now in top 5-3. And a meeting in the circle here for Hub City. Batters Devin Flaherty, and the top of the order looming next. And I wonder if we'll see a change here in the circle for the Adelitas. Just saw Lexi Handley return from the dugout, and now she's, I don't believe that's actually Handley. It's Chloe Temples who's into the game now for Hub City. So Temples, I beg your pardon, not Handley. And now here for Hub City. She started Friday's game against the Monarchs and had a really tough outing. This after the Adelitas won the night before 9-1. Temples did not escape the first inning, gave up 3 earned runs in just 2/3 of an inning and surrendered 4 hits.
When we saw Chloe Temples on Friday night, she really struggled to locate her pitches on the corners. Saw a lot of misses over the heart of the plate. And the pitches out of the strike zone were not competitive pitches. So as a hitter, you're really looking for all ball on plate or a complete ball. And when the hitters are as competitive as they are, it's tough to find success with that approach as a pitcher.
Well, now I know why I was confused. So, Chloe Temples wears 38. You may be saying to yourself, well, that's 00. The back of her jersey is 38. The front of the jersey is 00, which is the jersey number for Lexi Handley. I think there may have been a printing error on these jerseys.
That's something that
I've never seen
before. I wonder if someone on the field has noticed that, or if we were the first ones to catch it. I mean, at this point, what are you going to do, right? You need a jersey to play the game, so I get it, but.
Well, there's no way that Temples doesn't know, right? When she put the jersey on today, she had to realize, well, wait a minute, this isn't mine, looking at the front of it, and then turns it around like, oh, wait, I guess it is?
I would think, but how often do you see a number located at that part of your shirt when you put on your jersey in the morning?
Yeah,
so
true.
Now I'm looking at all the rest of the jerseys, and does the front match the back?
How many players have we misidentified today? All right, so not Lexi Handley. It is Chloe Temples in the circle now. Racing off against Devin Flaherty. Runner on, nobody out in the 4th in a 2-run game. That bunt goes foul and just a barely missed opportunity there for Ellsworth to make a play.
Great effort from Taylor Ellsworth. She's so athletic behind the plate as a catcher. Great reaction time. Just missed it.
Again, Ellsworth, her first game with this franchise came a week ago. And in a short amount of time, in about 5 games now, 4+ for Ellsworth, has made an incredible impact. And you brought this up, too, the other day, Haley, as Flaherty takes one up for ball 1. Yeah, the stats are there. You know, all the hits and, of course, a huge home run last night, some great plays behind the plate at catcher. But it's been more than that. It's the veteran know-how, the leadership she provides to the rest of this team.
Taylor Ellsworth has been a leader throughout her entire career at every level, travel ball, high school, college, and now she's been in the pros for a couple years. She's played with the USSSA Pride. She's played overseas in Japan, now getting opportunity here with the Hub City Adelitas. She's been around this game a long time. She still coaches. She still gives lessons. Softball is a huge part of who Taylor Ellsworth is as a person. And when you have that much experience and the type of personality that she has to step up and be a leader, I'm not surprised to see that her impact to this team is felt in more ways than just her physical performance.
Got 3 balls, 1 strike to Flaherty. 0 for 1 today. This after Flaherty reached a couple of times last night. Kearney at first base and nobody out. Just below the strike zone, and Flaherty draws a walk. And so the first 3 have reached here in the 4th inning, and back to the top of the lineup card to Kylie Sand.
Looks like Temples crossed Ellsworth up just a little bit on that last pitch. Ellsworth was set up outside. That pitch from Temples definitely leaked back over the heart of the plate, but it had to just be down. Didn't miss off the plate, that's for sure.
2 on, nobody out here for Kylie Sand. In there for a strike, 0-1. I referenced Lexi Handley earlier. I think that's her now in the bullpen getting loose for the Adelitas in the event Temples runs into trouble. But now I'm really curious. Does the front of her jersey say 38 and the back 00?
The 0 versus the 00 has always thrown me off. Why do we have both options?
Yeah.
Or why do we have 0 at all, honestly?
We can confirm,
Okay,
by the way. She's
00.
got on front and back.
Okay.
But you're right. It's almost as if you're creating another number.
Because 1 through 99 wasn't enough.
Right. Although the value is still the same. Nothing. Foul away. It's now 1-2. And I wonder for the players that pick 0 or 00, why do they go with that option and not the other?
Yeah, neither would be my pick if I had a choice. I honestly think if there was a random number like 54 left and either 0 or 00, I'd go with 54.
Kind of foul. Count remains 1-2. We've talked about some of these players and their jersey numbers and the inspiration behind them. The one that you wore, what was the reason behind that?
So growing up when I was young, I was 8 because of Kat Osterman. Who else? Then I stopped pitching, and in travel ball, 8 was taken, so I became 18. I was 18 at Arkansas as well. And then when I came to Texas State, 18 was already taken, and 25 was all that was left in my jersey size, to be honest. So that's what I ended up with.
That bangs off of Temples into right field. Rounding third is Kearney. She's going to score. Sand winds up at second base. That ball ricocheting right off of Temples. Have to hope that she's okay. It came flying off the bat. Fortuitous for Sand as she drives in a run, and now it's 6-3. And take a look at this again.
Looks like it hit right off of her hip bone. Yeah, ouch. Yep. That went a long ways off of the body of Temples. Behringer able to just get to that and cut it off. Keep it from going to the outfield. But the fact that she threw home to try to get Kearney, didn't quite have a play there, then allowed Flaherty to sneak up over to second base.
And on Temples trying to work through it after taking that one off the hip. Looks like she just gave the thumbs up, going to stay in. So runner second to third, nobody out. Heart of the order coming up here. A 3-run lead for the Monarchs. And with that run scoring by Kearney, that'll close the book on Adelitas. Kind of a tough outing after pitching so well the last 3 days. 3 innings, 6 earned runs off 7 hits. Ellsworth talking to Temples. Their look at Adelitas. Again, a gamer over these last 4 days. Best pitcher that Jamie Wars has been able to put out there in the circle. The two next to each other now in the dugout for Hub City. Really gave her team a chance to win last night's game, too. Without her pitching, there wouldn't be an opportunity for Ellsworth to do what she did and tie the game in the 7th.
And this is where it just gets hard in the fourth game of the series when you don't have that pitching depth like we were referring to earlier. Hitters have seen you. They know what you have. They know what's working, what's not working, probably what type of approach you've taken throughout the series. It's that cat and mouse chess game that comes into play so often in our sport, and when you don't have other teammates that can eat up some innings for you, it's just really tough.
It's actually Susie Brookshire batting here. Of course, there was that double switch early in the game with Piper moving from first to catcher, and with that, Torres is outs and Brookshire batting at her place and playing at first. Brookshire homered off of Temples on Friday. Here's a high fly ball, not very deep. Flaherty's got good speed. She's going to tag and come home, and the throw is offline. And now Sand rounding third. She's coming to the plate. Temples will tag her out for the first out of the inning. But how about Devin Flaherty? Again, that ball was not hit all that deep, but one Haley she can really move, and also testing that outfield arm of Lena Reboledo.
I'm shocked that Flaherty went on this ball. Brookshire really just missed it. Hits a super, super high pop-up. Rebolledo just completely offline throw. It didn't look like she really put her body into the throw in preparation to catch it. And I'm wondering if it's because she didn't expect Flaherty to go either. 9 out of 10 athletes on any team on this field are not going to attempt to tag up on a ball that shallow in the outfield. But credit Devin Flaherty for challenging Rebolledo, and she wins the battle.
Even though the run scored, it did lead to 2 outs on that play. So now the base is empty and 2 down for Sarah Vanderford, who's 0 for 2. And now facing Temples for the first time. And we've noticed the tidal wave now in the ballpark. Coastal Bend getting ready for its finale against the Texas Smoke coming up at around 4 o'clock.
You know, with Sarah Vanderford up here in 2 outs, it's a shame that Kylie Sand ran herself out of the inning with an RBI producer like Vanderford up at the plate. But to her defense, when she just made the decision to go, Temples wasn't quite at home plate, so it looked like home plate was open, so I can respect the aggressiveness. And it was only the 2nd out of the inning.
1-2 to Vanderford. Waiting on deck here, Lily Piper, 3 runs already into the inning for the Monarchs. Coming in with a record of 8-6. Team that began the year 0-3. They swept Hub City a couple of weeks ago, dropped a series at Coastal Bend last week. Up 2-1 in this series this weekend. Vanderford grounds out 1 to third, right to Bracamonte. And we're going to go to the 5th inning, but 3 more runs scored for the Monarchs. The cushion now at 4. It is 7-3 through 4 innings. We head to the 5th. Adelitas looking to respond at the plates, and we're back after this from San Marcos. Back in the 4th inning, the Adelitas are trying to rally against the Monarchs. Played a lot of small ball to start off the inning. Marlene Espinoza got on with an infield base hit. Destiny Brown butted herself on. Next batter, Savannah Wysocki with a little bloop shot over the head of Flaherty. Loaded the bases. Only 1 out at the time. The Adelitas only got a run. But insert Jaden Vickers, and with a big bat at the plate, Lena Rebolledo got her to fly out to end the threat. No run score. And then the offense adding 3 runs in the bottom of the 4th. And so with that, it is now a 4-run deficit for Hub City. They're down 7-3.
Monarchs really struggled to find an answer for the short game of the Adelitas in the last inning. However, facing 3-4-5 here, Jaden Vickers, not likely to be as much of an issue here in this part of the lineup. But I am curious if we do see Marlene Espinoza come back up as she's due up 4th in this inning, if she'll try to stay with that short game approach, because the Monarchs, didn't really find an answer for it.
Leading off, Taylor Ellsworth here for Hub City. Part of the order batting. Ellsworth, Munoz, Lopez, 3, 4, and 5 in the Adelitas order. Again, next week, Hub City back home in Lubbock hosting the Smoke. The week after, heading to Robstown to take on Coastal Bend. And then the first week of August, hosting the Smoke once more. And they wrap up the regular season against the Monarchs in Lubbock. 3-0 to Ellsworth. Swinging on 3-0. It's now 3 balls and 1 strike.
There's so many debates about swinging on 3-0 and should you do it, should you not do it. For me, it's very situational. In that case, if you're going to swing at 3-0, at least the swing looks like that from Ellsworth. And if you're going to foul it straight back, it means you just missed it. Now, if it's a tie game, runners on base, taken all the way there.
Ellsworth shoots that one to left near the bullpen, right to Sona Halajan with her back turned, too. She all right? It looks like she's okay.
I think it hit the wall. I don't think it went into the bullpen.
Boy, it got really close there, though. Again, Ellsworth last night able to get a ball to stay inside the foul pole for a dramatic game-tying 2-run homer. I think we had the ball strike count wrong because that probably explains a little bit more as to why Ellsworth was swinging on 3-0. It wasn't 3-0.
Makes sense.
Now 3-2.
As a hitter, my favorite count to attack in was either 2-0 or 2-1 because you've already seen a couple, but you don't have that pressure of, oh my gosh, I have 3 balls, so if I really expand the zone, then people are going to think, why are you swinging at this? Just a little bit less pressure.
So 2-1 more than 3-1. You prefer 2-1 more than 3-1?
Yeah, I would say I did.
Lazy fly, easily handled out and right by Kearney. Ellsworth 0 for 3 in this game. A big part of the offense has not been able to get on base here today for Hub City. All the offense, in fact, has been courtesy of Lena Reboledo. A solo homer the first and a 2-run double in the third. Beyond that, no scoring for the Adelitas. Strike 1 to Daisy Munoz.
Looking back on it, super clutch that Jaden Vicker is able to come in and retire Reboledo with the bases loaded last inning. And then for the Monarchs to be able to go in and extend their lead to make it a 4-run lead. Just can't help but think that that started back in the previous inning defensively.
No balls, 2 strikes. Awaiting on deck, Lopez. That's out of the zone. Usually in the college softball world, this time of year is rather quiet. Almost a month removed from the College World Series, but certainly a lot of offseason news is happening. That's high, it's 2-2. Outside of college softball, the U.S. national team currently playing in Italy. Of course, there is no softball in the Olympics this year, but the national team is still playing over the summer. But back to college softball. So the season again over, and the coming year is still a few months out. And here's a well-hit ball towards right center. That bounces off the wall. Munoz on her way to second base. The throw not in time, and a 1-out double for one of the hotter bats for Hub City.
Beautiful piece of hitting from Daisy Munoz. We saw her earlier in this series clear the left field fence, both of them, in fact. This time gets a pitch in the lower outer part of the zone. Such a simple, short swing. Doesn't try to do too much with it at all. And it just died right there at the bottom of the wall, which allowed Emily Hott to have to delay getting that throw in just a bit. Munoz able to slide in safely.
Now Peyton Lopez, runner on, 1 out. So talking about college softball, so really the only news that kind of comes across right now, any coaching changes, most have been filled. Any coaching vacancies and transfer portal news. Well, one of the coaching changes we've talked about quite a bit in these WPF broadcasts has been that of Jerry Glasgow going from Louisiana to Texas Tech. Of course, you know, Hub City calls Lubbock home, and so a lot of these players very familiar with the surroundings there and what's happening in Lubbock right now in the softball world. Well, you know, with Jerry Glasgow leaving Louisiana, a lot of his players entering the portal, and one of the top programs in the country, the mid-major level, and certainly one of the flag bearers in the Sun Belt along with Texas State, seeing a lot of personnel changes.
Sam Landry just announced a couple days ago that she's decided to join the staff at Oklahoma. Brooke Elistad moving over to Alabama, who was the Sun Belt Newcomer of the Year last year, had a phenomenal year. And a lot of, as you mentioned, Glasgow's former players have decided to follow him to Lubbock and join the team at Texas Tech as well.
Victoria Valdez, the Cajuns' catcher this year, as that pitch bounces away from Piper. And Munoz over to third base. Mia Davis, the Sun Belt Player of the Year, announced she was going into the portal. I'm not sure if she's announced where to yet.
I believe she's also following Glasgow to Lubbock as well.
Got it. The new coach for Louisiana is a former Ragin' Cajun player. Now taking over in Lafayette, Allison Habitz, formerly an assistant at Alabama. 3-1 to Lopez, and draws a walk. And so a double, a wild pitch, and a walk will bring up the tying run, or I beg your pardon, it's a 4-run game. I can do the math. The tying run is on deck now as Marlene Espinosa comes up, and some trouble here for Vickers will lead to a meeting in the circle.
Another former Cajun, Lauren Allred, also following Jerry Glasgow to Texas Tech, as well as former Cajun pitcher Chloe Riasetto as well.
Now, Riasetto and Landry were one of the top 1-2 pitching combos in the Sun Belt. Of course, Texas State had an ace in Jessica Mullins. Landry was really good as well, and of course the two went to the same high school from the same area. But it felt like, Mullins was the pitcher here, where at Louisiana it was more Landry than Riasetto, but Riasetto played a really big role in what they did this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the identity of the Cajuns is going into the 2025 season. I have no doubts that Allison Habitz, who's stepped in with the departure of Glasgow, will put together a strong team. She has a ton of experience under Patrick Murphy in the SEC for many, many years. Also very familiar with the area of Lafayette, Louisiana. But there'll be a lot of question marks in the Sun Belt for sure. And not just the Sun Belt, but how the Cajuns are going to make their mark on college softball as a whole. The Cajuns were a host seed this past year, 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. Very well-known program. And so the expectations for Allison Habitz will be high.
No balls, 2 strikes. Espinosa facing off against Vickers for the first time. And takes a tough pitch on 0-2, but is called ball 1. So, again, the flag bearers in the Sun Belt, it's really been 2 teams, Texas State and Louisiana. And both programs undergoing a huge overhaul over the offseason, but for far different reasons. That's fouled back. For the Bobcats, they had every single player from last year's team, the 2023 team, return this year. But a lot of those players, seniors, and so saying goodbye to those like Vanderford and Mullins, who are playing in the WPF now. So players exhausting their eligibility. The reason why the Bobcats are having to undergo a huge overhaul. Of course, their legendary head coach, Ricky Woodard, is back. But for Louisiana, as Espinosa grounds one off the glove of Sand into rights. Munoz scores. On her way to third is Lopez. It's a 3-run game.
We saw Espinosa use the short game in her first 2 at-bats. Here she gets a pitch that she can hit hard. Kylie Sand does everything she can over at second base to try to keep it on the infield, but just scoots off the tip of her glove. She was shaded up the middle. Really hard hit ball from Espinosa. Good job pushing Munoz across from third base.
And now speeding off from first base to second goes Espinosa. And she's in without a throw. Meanwhile, Bracamonte took strike 1. So the point here being, 2 of the top programs in the Sun Belt are going to look far different next year. That's hit to third. Day. It glances over to Lopez at third, but the throw to Brookshire bounces away. Lopez will score. Espinosa going to come home. Was a throw to second, got away from Sand. 2-run score, and the lead is down to 1.
Laywood Day did everything right, but just short-hopped Brookshire over at first base, who's unable to come up with the pick. Then Brookshire able to recover, trying to get Bracamonte at second. Looks like when she was throwing through that lane. There wasn't a clear throw over to Flaherty at second base. There's the first miscue. Able to recover it pretty quickly. But she also short hop Flaherty, who's covering the bag at second. Looks like just trying to throw across that runner. That's sand covering, rather, excuse me. It's an unfortunate series of events for the Monarchs.
A ball that never left the infield brings in 2 runs there for Hub City. A tough defensive inning here for the Monarchs. Now it's 7-6. Tying run is at second base, still just the 1 out. This after the Monarchs scored 3 in the bottom of the 4th, 3 for Hub City here in the 5th inning. And the tying run is scoring position now, bottom part of the order coming through here. And now it is Destiny Brown. Speaking of the Sun Belt again, formerly from Southern Miss, albeit she never played in the conference. Her career ended in Conference USA. Fouled away, strike 1. So again, the conference you and I cover a lot, Haley, that being the Sun Belt, you know, the top 2 established programs, the Bobcats and Cajuns undergoing so much change, going to make for a really interesting set of storylines going into 2025.
I'm also really curious to see what other top contenders, South Alabama and the Troy Trojans, are going to look like. I think Vickers just tripped a little bit there.
Yeah, but it's technically an illegal pitch, and so a ball is awarded in the ball strike count. Now it's 1-2.
Going back to, you know, what the Sun Belt's going to look like. Both South Alabama and Troy have been strong programs for the past several years as well. South Alabama losing 5th-year senior Olivia Lackey, who is also an All-American this year. The identity will be quite different, but I have no doubts that the competition will still find a way to threaten Power 4 conference teams, and I expect we see at least 1, if not 2, Sun Belt, maybe 3 teams in the postseason again next year.
There will be a lot of intrigue across the college softball landscape this coming year. 1-2 pitch on the ground into center for a hit. Bracamonte around third. Here's a throw cut off by Brookshire. Back to second, not in time. This game is tied 7-7 as Brown delivers for Hub City.
Love to see the response from Hub City. It's been a back and forth game all day today. It's been someone different every time. Now Destiny Brown gets a pitch on the outer half, just steps up, drives it right back up the middle. Good cut and relay from Hott into Brookshire, covering as the cut at first. But Destiny Brown, great slide into second, beats the throw in.
And Bracamonte in without a throw to home. 4 runs in the inning. And now to the top, or to the 9-hole hitter rather, Savannah Wysocki, the top of the order, is on deck.
You know, the way we got here with 7-all has been pretty different. Monarchs showing off the power early in this game, 4 runs on 4 hits with a couple of home runs. But since then, they've gone pretty quiet, had a double and a couple singles mixed in here and there, but it just feels like the Adelitas have really just peppered the Monarchs with bunt singles, RBI singles up the middle, lots of traffic on the bases. And the Adelitas have had much more consistent traffic than the Monarchs have.
No balls, 2 strikes to Wysocki. That ball poked to left, and it gets under the glove of Fessler. Brown rounds third, and Hub City has the lead. What a rally here by the Adelitas. Bottom part of the order delivering here for Hub City. Entered the inning trailing 7-3, now on top 8-7.
It's just another example of another single. Fessler has to do a better job out there in left field of keeping that ball in front of her. If she keeps that ball in front of her, there's definitely a chance to throw out Brown for a play at the plate and keep this game tied. But because she goes for the slide, unable to keep it in front, now you've got another runner in scoring position with Wysocki. Just another defensive miscue.
And we should note some defensive changes for the Monarchs coming into the day. Bradley St. Clair not in the outfield. Sarah Vanderford not at third. And lo and behold, we've seen plays in this inning at third and in the outfield not made by the Monarchs.
Good point. If you go back to the kind of first miscue that started it all, it started with a ground ball over to Day at third. Looked the runner back, then made an errant throw over to first, which led to another errant throw from Brookshire, the first baseman. And since then, it's just kind of been a domino effect of the Adelitas just scratching and clawing back now to take the lead.
8th batter of the inning coming up here, Blaise Behringer. That ball up the middle, and that's a base hit. And stopping at third is Wysocki. Runners in the corners here. So Behringer with her second hit of the game. And for the Adelitas, that is their 5th hit of the inning.
They say hitting is contagious, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now from the Adelitas. Single after single after single, forcing the Monarchs to make plays. And even the opportunities they've had, not necessarily to record outs, but to limit the damage, the ball has just been kind of thrown all over the place. Haven't necessarily hit the cutoff every time. Errant throws that are short hops that are unable to be fielded cleanly.
And Behringer just stole second here for Hub City. Takes out the force play at second base. And a base hit here could drive in 2 more. Reboledo, already a 3 RBI day to include a solo homer back in the first. Putting the bunt down and pushes it foul. Only 1 out in the inning. If you recall, that was the leadoff hitter who's now on deck. Taylor Ellsworth retired on a fly ball. Since then, a double, a walk, an error. Couple of singles, another double, and a single from Behringer.
I can't help but wonder how long the leash is for Vickers in this situation, because she hasn't given up a ton of hard hit balls. For the most part, she's done her job. Defense just hasn't really had her back. Or she's given up singles with people in the wrong place at the right time.
Able to get Reboledo to pop up. Reboledo facing Vickers today 0 for 2. And now the Adelitas have batted around. Ellsworth looks at ball 1. Runner second at third base. 2 down. 5 runs have scored in the inning off of 5 hits. And 2 critical errors so far for the Monarchs defense in the infield. 1-0 pitch is fouled back, a ball and a strike. Of the 5 runs that have scored in the inning, surprisingly only 1 of them unearned.
Wysocki was credited with a double, but the miscue out in left was Sarah Fessler. In my mind, that's an error. It's not recorded as one in the books, but that's a play that you have to keep in front of you.
1-2 to Ellsworth. Vickers trying to mitigate the damage here with 5 runs already in. We're going to keep it a 1-run game. 1-2, and that is a base hit up the middle. That's going to bring in 2 runs. Ellsworth, a 2-out, 2-run single. And how about that, a 7-run inning for Hub City.
Taylor Ellsworth just continuing to swing a hot bat. We've seen it time and time and again. This inning alone, it's just single up the middle, over and over again. The Adelitas are just doing a great job of keeping it simple with runners on base. Haven't seen the Monarchs been able to adjust defensively to try to keep any of these balls in the infield. This pitch, an outside pitch to Ellsworth. She just shoots it right back where it came from. I'd like to see these middle infielders for the Monarchs just try to squeeze that part of the field. They're not getting burned in the 5-6 hole and the 3-4 hole.
And that's going to be it for Jaden Vickers. So the 3rd pitcher of the day coming in here for the Monarchs. Going back to yesterday's starter, Sona Halajan. Halajan in their start yesterday, 5 innings. Gave up 4 runs, 3 of those earned. A strikeout and a couple of walks. And no decision for Halajan. from San Anselmo, California. 1 year at UCF this season. Before that, 4 years at Cal Berkeley. Was a two-way player for the Knights this season for a team that went on to play in the Tallahassee Regional against Florida State. And one of three former Knights now playing professionally along with Smoke player Jada Cody. And her team down at 3. Adelitas offensively again. This has just been a completely different weekend for them. 9 runs in the opener against Coach Finn Bachbader's team. Put up 5 in a losing effort on Friday. Really competitive in an extra inning defeat last night, scoring 6 runs and a season-high 10 runs scored down today.
What's impressed me the most about the Adelitas at the plate today is it's not come off the bat of one person. Early in the game, sure, you could say the offense was carried by Lena Reboledo, but since then, it's been a hit parade, 1 through 9.
What a tough outing for Vickers as well. Inning of relief to this point. 7 runs given up for the Mern. So now 3 of the runs unearned against her. And here's Halajan. She's facing Daisy Munoz. Munoz had the first of the 6 hits in the inning. It was a double to right center. And who knew after that there'd be 7 runs across home plate for Hub City, but here we are. Entered the frame down 7-3. And now on top by 3 runs. Here's Munoz facing Halajan. Runner first, 2 outs. It's 0-1 the count. To Daisy Munoz, that double for her, the only hit of the day. And would later score on Espinosa's base hit.
With the single from Ellsworth in the last at bat, now 1 through 9 for the Adelitas has reached base, and only 2 have yet to record a hit in the game today.
A bouncing ball that bounces on through to left. So that is the second hit of the inning for Munoz. And hitting, in fact, has been contagious in this inning for Hub City.
The only 2 yet to record a hit in the books are Peyton Lopez, who's up at the plate now, and Emily Bracamonte. But Bracamonte has been on twice, courtesy of a fielder's choice back in the 2nd, and then the error here earlier in the 5th.
Again, as big as this inning has been for Hub City, and it's been one of the biggest offensive innings of the year, it's only a 3-run game. I said this earlier, the way that the offenses have been hitting the ball, all 4 teams of this weekend, you don't feel safe about a 3-run lead. Just ask the Monarchs. They were up 4 coming into the inning.
That's a really good point, and that's the way you have to think about this if you're the Monarchs. You know, it's really easy to look at the score and say, oh my gosh, we just gave up a 7-run inning, which does not feel good. I guarantee you none of the Monarchs right now feel comfortable in this situation. But you put up 4 in the first inning in the snap of your fingers. So this is very much still within your reach, especially with the way that the Monarchs have shown they can swing the bat in the series.
In there for a strike from Halajan. 1-2 to Peyton Lopez. Walked herself earlier in the frame and scored a run. Hub City now out-hitting the Monarchs 14-8. A ball and 2 strikes. That's out of play. When these two played their Sunday game a couple of weeks ago, it was a 2-0 shutout victory for the Monarchs. Each team just 4 hits in the game.
That feels so foreign to hear after the way that the games have gone across all 4 teams in this series. We've not seen anything close to a pitcher's duel or a 1-run game.
A swing and a miss. Lopez strikes out, but the damage definitely done by Hub City. One of their biggest innings of the season. They put up 7, enter the 5th, down 7-3. They head to the bottom of the frame, up 10-7. The Adelitas in 12 to the plate. They score 7 times as we go to the bottom of the 5th. It has been an offensive explosion this week for Jamie Juarez's team. Opened up the week putting up 9 in a run rule victory over the Monarchs. Her team now has 10 runs in their game against the Monarchs today, scoring 7 in the top of the 5th. And you have to feel, Haley, that dugout's feeling pretty good right now.
Definitely. The way that they scored, too, it wasn't just one and done, one shot. It was just single after single, constant pressure on the Monarchs. We've said it before, and we'll say it again, hitting is contagious. And right now, if they can pick up a 1-2-3 inning against the Monarchs, have to feel like they're starting to gain some confidence over there in that dugout.
And so Chloe Temple is trying to, carry that momentum from the bat, send the dugout into the circle. Now pitching with a 3-run lead, 10-7 Hub City. Coming up for the Monarchs, Piper, Hott, and Laywood Day. And again, this game far from over. Despite that large inning from Hub City, it's only a 3-run deficit. And the Monarchs have been hitting the ball pretty well themselves. Scored 4 in the first, 3 in the fourth. And here is Piper, who had a 3-run homer back in the first inning. The leadoff here in the 5th for the Texas Monarchs. Both franchises, expansion franchises in the WPF, along with Coastal Bend. I think a reason for the delay right now is that the Adelitas dugout is visiting with their plate umpire Robert Hines. Maybe about the defensive alignments and maybe substitutions here. Kind of looking around the field, I don't see any, but we'll try to keep track of that.
Had to be a switch that occurred coming into this inning. We didn't see any pinch hitters or pinch runners for the Adelitas.
Yeah, Bracabante is still at third base. Ellsworth is still the catcher. Temple still in the circle. Munoz at first. Behringer at second. The outfielders all look the same as well. You know, it's funny, I do wonder if it's an issue with the uniform for Temples.
Could be.
The umpires probably have her in the book as 38, asking why is she wearing 00.
Very, very possible.
That's just speculation, by the way.
Logical speculation, though. I can't help but wonder here if Lily Piper will potentially try to go to that sneaky bunt again to try to get someone on, get the offense rolling for the Monarchs. Munoz over at first is playing in, understanding that Piper does have that in her repertoire that she's shown already in the series. Now with 2 strikes, we probably won't see it, but I like the fact that we've seen multiple catchers in this league now not be afraid to go to that part of their game.
No balls, 2 strikes to Piper. Emily Hott awaits on deck. And the 0-2 from Temples. Here's a fly ball to right. Coming in is Wysocki. And 1 away. Here in the 5th inning will bring up Emily Hott. So, Haley, you know, you think about the summer, we talked about how right now this time of year kind of all is quiet on the college softball news front. But in a non-Olympic year, at least as far as softball is concerned, you have the WPF happening, athletes unlimited as well. When the Olympics, you know, are in play, certainly occupies the summer for softball as well. What does it mean for the sport to still be, you know, active in the colleges off season?
It's so huge. When I think back to growing up and watching softball, once college season was over, that was it. There was nothing to watch. And even the pro league that exists at the time with the USSSA and the Chicago Bandits, there were leagues, but they weren't televised. They weren't streamed on YouTube. There was no way for us to tune in and continue to learn and grow the game. And the fact that there's so many other ways to watch now, and the fact that they're so competitive with Athletes Unlimited and the different format that's brought to the game, I just can't say enough about the exposure for the sport and the fact that TV has believed in it, streaming has believed in it. the saying, you can see, if you see it, you can be it, I think is so true for little girls.
This is year 2 of the WPF. Smoke won the inaugural championship last year. 3 new franchises in the league this year with the Smoke returning. Day, another swing and a miss, and a big cut comes up empty. It's 0-2 today, who's 0 for 2 for the game.
One other thing I'll add on just the coverage of the pro leagues and anything post-college, it legitimizes, in my mind, the opportunity for women softball players to become professional athletes. When I was playing just a few years ago, it wasn't even a thought in my mind that that might be a true opportunity for me. And I'm not saying that these athletes out here on this field are wholeheartedly pro athletes and they do nothing else on the side, because the reality is what they're making here is not sustainable to live on full time. Laywa Day swings through that one. Ellsworth able to throw over for a drop third strike to pick up out number 3. So we'll pick up this conversation when we return here. But Adelitas pick up their 1-2-3 inning.
In the ballpark and ready to take the field here shortly is Coastal Bend and the Texas Smoke. The tidal wave of the Smoke going to meet up for the 4th and final game of the weekend series. Tidal wave trying to salvage a game. The Smoke, wearing, I believe, the all reds today, are going for a 4-game sweep. Held on to beat the tidal wave yesterday 7-6. Coastal Bend almost came back from 3 runs down in the 7th inning to tie the game until Samantha Shao got the final out to escape with that win. And for the Smoke offensively, 7 runs scored, yes, but of the 7 runs, 5 came on homers, 5 solo shots for the Smoke yesterday from 5 different players. As Halajan faces Marlene Espinosa, that goes off of Halajan's glove right to Santa's second. And that's the old routine 1-4-3 put out to start the inning. But more on the Smoke. 5 players with the 5 homers. Charla Eccles, Samantha Shao, Jazz Hill, Jada Cody, and Silent Rain Espinosa.
I love that you referred to that as the routine 1-4-3.
Right, happens all the time. And now Bracamonte just got plunked by Halajan. You know, we have not seen a lot of hit batters in the league so far. But that one got Bracamonte square. And being looked at by the training staff now.
I love that Torres behind the plate is like, I got you. Here's a backstop. Here's my leg. Bracamonte's still down. That got her good.
See, I'm just now catching that. Good catch, Haley. Piper has moved back from catcher to first, and Torres is back into the game at catcher. It was a kind of a tough defensive inning for Brookshire at first base, maybe leading to the change there. And on that note, Sarah Baniford is also into the game at third in place of Laywood Day. And as we noted, it was a tough defensive half inning for the corner infielders. And I believe Briley St. Clair is in the game now in the outfield as well.
Yep, she's now in left.
And so really the 3 fielding positions that we noted that had some troubles in the 5th inning of all, there have been changes at all 3. Third base, first base, and left field.
Good to see Bracamonte up and moving now. A pitch from Olajian hit her very hard. I think it got her in the back knee.
And Bracamonte is still trying to walk it off right now.
Anything in the kneecap region or even the inner thigh is just so painful.
She's going to come out, and I don't know if we're going to see her come back either. So it is McKenna Brocky, the pinch runner here after Bracamonte was hit. And Bracamonte is certainly a capable infielder. And just as we saw some shuffling of the cards defensively for the Monarchs here in this half inning, might see it again in the bottom half. So after the hit by pitch and the pinch runner, Brocky coming in, that'll bring up Destiny Brown. Runner on, 1 out. That's ball 1. And again, to navigate you through the defensive changes, Lily Piper's gone back from catcher to first base. Kelly Torres back in the game at catcher for the Monarchs. And the other infield change at third, Sarah Vanderford is into the game for the first time. And there is Vanderford, one of the top defensive third basemen in the country at the college level the past few seasons. And now in left field is Briley St. Clair, which won't only have an impact offensively, potentially for the Monarchs, but also could have an impact at the plate.
Especially with the day that Briley St. Clair had yesterday.
And Vanderford, too, for that matter. 3 balls, no strikes to Brown, who's been on twice. Top of the 6th inning in the 4th and final game of the series. Four-pitch walk. So after the ground out of Espinoza, a couple of free passes to first base surrendered by Halajan. And the Adelitas, after scoring 7 in the 5th, threatening here in the 6th.
Halajan recorded a quick out, albeit off a hard hit ball off the bat of Espinoza, but seems like since then she's really struggling with her control. Nothing has been close to the zone since.
Now the El Paso native, Savannah Wysocki. Ball 1 outside.
That's about the closest miss we've seen since the routine 1-4-3, as you referred to it, with Marlene Espinoza. But even that wasn't super close to the zone.
You know, we've seen plenty of 1-4-3 double plays, but not many of those when the bases are empty.
Good point.
Yeah. 2-0 to Wysocki, who was a tremendous Division II player at Lubbock Christian. A career .359 hitter. And showing good eye discipline here. 3 balls and no strikes. Behringer awaits on deck. Brocky is second and Brown at first base. Both can run. And Wysocki takes a strike.
Olajian definitely has to come to Wysocki here. You don't want to walk the 9-hole to load the bases at the top of the lineup coming up.
The bases are loaded without the courtesy of a hit here for Hub City. Hit batter, couple of walks, top of the order coming up. Hub City trying to add on to this 3-run lead. And now to the plate, Blaise Behringer. So a team that has found its groove offensively, threatening for more offense here in the 6th. Strike 1 to Behringer. A 2 for 4 day so far for the Adelitas leadoff hitter.
We saw some activity for the Monarchs in the bullpen just a bit ago, but no one's out there right now. With Olajian in quite a bit of trouble.
We've already seen Slaughterback and Vickers in the game. The only other two pitchers available would be Aspen Wesley or Alexa DeFeo. We have not seen DeFeo in the series. Wesley we have seen twice, but both times Hub City hit her pretty good. Came into the game last night after Halajan started and gave up a couple of earned runs. 0-2 on the ground. Flaherty throwing to home for the force play in time for the outs. What a heads-up play by Flaherty at shortstop, keeping this a 3-run deficit and an important second out of the inning.
Devin Flaherty is just so good over there at shortstop. She had to go to her glove side, taking her momentum away from home plate, but still able to deliver a strong throw home to get the force out. You can see that ball. She had to feel low on her glove side, then able to flip her feet quickly, make a good strong throw to home.
Rebolledo, bases juiced and 2 down. Takes one up from Halajan, ball 1. Huge start to Rebolledo's day. Solo homer in the first and a 2-run double in the third. Since then, 0 for 2. Fouled away, 1 ball, 1 strike. How about these numbers for these two teams today with runners in scoring position? The Adelitas are 7 for 16. The Monarchs, 3 for 4.
Both high percentages, but the fact that the Adelitas have had 16 runners in scoring position is just absurd. And when you think about 16 runners in scoring position versus 4 runners in scoring position, but yet we're only at a 10-7 game is pretty wild.
Now the Adelitas have left 7 on base. The Monarchs just 2. It's been 10 runs on 14 hits and no errors for Hub City. 7 runs, 8 hits, and a couple of errors for the Monarchs. And there again you see the bases loaded. Brown, Wysocki, Behringer the runners. 1 and 2 to Rebolledo. And that ball lined to right for a base hit. Brown is in, coming by behind her, Wysocki. Rounding third and coming home and scoring is Behringer. Rebolledo clears the bases. A 6 RBI day and a 6-run lead for Hub City.
Rebolledo just wearing out that right center field gap. Doubled to the same spot in the top of the third. Gets another pitch and just hammers it. Kylie Sand did everything she could, but that ball almost got past the right fielder out there as well because it was hit so hard. Very impressive day at the plate.
By the way, there was another change we didn't reference in the outfield. So Jada Kearney no longer in right. That is Jenna Keene in right field. Couldn't quite squeeze it in, maybe her inability to clean that ball, to field that ball cleanly, costing the Monarchs another run here. So 13-7. A lot of 2-out offense so far in the game for the Adelitas. 5 2-out RBI now. And out of the plate, Taylor Ellsworth. 2 balls, no strikes against Halajan. The Adelitas have broken the game open on top by 6. A lot more breathing room here with the game getting late. You couldn't help but think a couple of weeks ago when these two last met each other, you kind of came out of the series wondering, how is this Hub City team going to find a way to score? They were shut out in the opener on Thursday of that series. That's inside and low for a walk to Ellsworth. She's on. Another walk given up by Halajan. A modest 5 runs scored the next day, but then held to a single run on Saturday, shut out on Sunday. And then the first 2 games of the series against the Smoke last week got shut out in both games.
I'd say they've made more than a few adjustments offensively.
Jeez. This is a team with a lot of swagger at the plate right now, a lot of confidence. A new look to them as well. New uniforms this week, wearing these red pinstripes for the second time in the series. First time they wore these threads, run ruled the Monarchs on Thursday 9-1. And now we see Hub City bringing a pinch runner for Ellsworth. Initially they were going to attempt to bring in Brocky, but told they had to go a different direction, so it is Behringer the pinch runner. First and second, 2 outs. That's now 10 unanswered runs scored by the Adelitas. Once down 7-3. That was at the end of 4 innings. And here we are in the 6th. They've gone from down 4 to up 6 here, 13-7. One ball, one strike. Remember, the following game today, the next game up, scheduled for a 4 o'clock start, but certainly can be pushed back, and looks like we're headed to that territory right now. One and one to Munoz.
Good pitch right there from Halajian. She wanted that one, didn't get the call.
That ball laced to right. That's down for a base hit. Bounces off the wall. Coming home to score. 1-run Rebolado. And then scorching on behind her is Behringer. Another couple of runs score for the Adelitas. Munoz drives in 2. 15-7.
The hits just keep on coming for the Adelitas. Munoz has seen the ball so well in this series. Used all parts of the field. This is another ball that's just absolutely hammered. Jenna Keene out there can't cut it off in time. If she's able to cut that off, Flaherty might have a chance to throw out Behringer, the pinch runner, for Ellsworth at home, but makes the smart decision to put it in her pocket and leave Munoz over at first. It's kind of been a flip of the script here for the Adelitas and the Monarchs. We saw the Adelitas early in the series not really have an answer pitching-wise, and now you're seeing the opposite of that here for the Monarchs.
Well, now if you're Hub City, the possibility looms of a second potential run rule victory. On top by 8-6. Lopez swings and lashes that one foul. A lot of aggressive hacks to the plate right now for Hub City. Anything up in the zone, they are attacking it here. Halajan's had a hard time painting the corners, so really any strike that she throws has a lot of the plates. And the Adelitas all over it. 0-1 to Lopez. That's high, and it gets away off the glove of Torres. And the pinch runner, Jace Marie Fernandez, over to second base, running in the place of Munoz here.
It's the last thing you want right now if you're the Monarchs. You're already struggling to record the third out. Now you give up another free base via the pass ball. Got to find a way to stop the bleeding.
These last 2 innings have been tough for Coach Fenton Bachbrader's team. Gave up 7 in the 5th, 5 so far in the 6th. 1-1, grounded foul by Lopez. Lopez, the 9th batter of the inning, after 12 came to the plate in the 5th. You talked about those Marucci Pro bats earlier. Lopez is holding a Rawlings bat right now.
Rawlings isn't as prevalent in the college game as it was when I was playing. We used to be Rawlings here at Texas State. Great bats. Love the gloves, for sure. Bats take a little bit longer to break in than most. Rawlings is very popular in the pro game, though, so you'll see a lot of Rawlings bats here at this level. It's a very long train we have out here in left field.
Again, one of the great aesthetics here to Bobcat Softball Stadium, that set of train tracks behind left field. 1-2 here to Lopez. Fights off another pitch.
It's a great aesthetic until the horn goes off right in the middle of when you're trying to have a conversation. Or if you're late for practice, class, whatever it may be. Then it's not so cute.
Very rare you see any passenger trains, by the way. That one a cargo train, as many of them are. Lopez pops up right side of the infield, handled by Sand. But another huge inning for Hub City. Over the past 2 innings, they have scored 12 times, and now 3 outs away from a possible run rule against the Monarchs. Well, the momentum of this game has really flipped. The Monarchs carried a 7-3 lead into the 5th inning, but here they are now down 15-7 in need of at least a single run to extend the game, in danger of being run ruled by Hub City for the 2nd time in this 4-game series. Bradley St. Clair will lead things off, coming off a monster game last night. 4 for 5, a couple of doubles and a couple of triples, and scored on the walk-off homer hit by Sarah Vanderford. 15-7, Adelitas on top. They scored 7 in the 5th inning, 5 in the top of the 6th. And something about the offense in their 5-run 6th inning is that they scored those 5 on just 2 hits. A hit batter, a lot of walks given up by Sona Halajan, and the Adelitas made the Monarchs pay.
Only 2 errors are officially recorded in the scorebook for the Monarchs, but you've had several other walks, hit by pitches, defensive miscues. So the Monarchs definitely have struggled to play clean defensively from both the circle and the infield and the outfield.
Well, St. Clair hit by pitch here by Chloe Temples. That's going to bring up Jenna Keene. Keene came into the game defensively for Jada Kearney in the top of the inning, and now batting for the first time. Runner on, nobody out for the Monarchs here in the 6th inning, trailing by 8. Runner goes. Here's a fly ball to left, and that's out of play for Rebeledo out in left field. Turned into a pretty nice Sunday afternoon here in Central Texas. About 89 degrees outside. Sun poking through some of the clouds. Not too hot. Rain staying away. And a great day for softball here in San Marcos. Swing and a miss by Keene. The count's 0-2.
I don't know if it feels like this to you, Brant, but it feels like the summer in Central Texas hasn't quite been as brutal as usual this year. It's been hot, don't get me wrong, but we haven't had near the triple-digit days that we're used to by this point, mid-July.
I'll say this week in particular has been a nice reprieve.
I would much rather be hot than cold, though. Some may disagree, but
I'm a grass is always greener type of guy. I hear people complain about snow and cold temperatures in the winter, and that just sounds awesome. And but they will tell you that, like, they would take 100 degrees throughout the summer in exchange for getting rid of those snowy winters. I feel like I'm the opposite.
I feel like you get used to where you live, number one. But for me, my favorite activities require warmth. Softball. I mean, you can play in the cold, don't get me wrong, but it's not nearly as enjoyable. Water activities. I also feel like at some point you just get chilled to the bone and there's nothing you can do to warm up. But maybe I'm insane. Who knows?
You're not the skiing type or cozy up by the fire kind of person?
Well, I enjoy skiing, but I don't want to deal with the snow all the time. I'll pay to go visit the snow and do all of the winter sports. Love snow tubing. That's a great time. But after we had the COVID freeze out, no power here, I'm good if the free snow stays away. I'll go visit.
Came with a fly ball to rights and hovering over near the line to make the catch Wysocki. And St. Clair has to stay put at first base, and that's good for the inning's first out.
Good at bat by Jenna Keene. Fouled off a lot of pitches. Finally got one that she could put in play. But Temple's able to induce the fly out after the hit by pitch to Bradley St. Clair.
Again, if Temples can get the next 2 outs before a run scores, Hub City would end the game early. Here's Devin Flaherty. Been on once today with a walk and has also scored a run. The ex-Seminole takes the bunt back and takes ball one here. And again, you can see that Flaherty repping Florida State with the arm guard. Just wrapped up her Seminole career this year. 4-time All-ACC player and second-team All-Honors this year in Tallahassee. In the air, right center field, and a diving catch made by Destiny Brown. Back to first for a double play, not in time. But oh my goodness, what a catch by Brown in center.
Destiny Brown, are you kidding me? I have full body chills. There's no way off the bat that I thought Brown was going to get to this ball. It was hit so hard. And she almost ended the game with the double play. We've got to take another look at this. Flaherty smashes this. Look how far Brown was over. She was even shaded. Full sellout. SportsCenter top 10. I'm calling it right now.
Well, now the crew is meeting, talking about this play, and that
she's out.
She's out.
Definitely.
Our first base umpire is Mario Calabrese, but Munoz got to the bag definitely before St. Clair did. Watch this again. Munoz's foot is there before St. Clair's is. The crew is met, but they're not changing their call here. Call stands. We have lamented that there is no replay in the WPF. If there were, that call would be overturned.
The other thing that I didn't catch because we were watching Destiny Brown just sell out and make the catch of her life is if Briley St. Clair stepped on second base when she came back. Because if St. Clair passes second base, she has to also hit second base again on her way back. Otherwise, if they were to tag her, she would be out.
Well, let's take a look at that here to see if she did, in fact, touch second on the way back. You see St. Clair cross, and she does, in fact, hit the bag again. So she did her job as a runner. But again, that throw to first, it was in time. It's a missed call there. It may all be moot if Temples gets out of the inning anyway without a run scoring. But there was a possibility of capping off that incredible catch by Brown with even maybe just as impressive throw to first base for the double play.
It's got to be SportsCenter top 10. You can't change my mind. Not only the catch, but to get up, make a throw to first in time that we could clearly see on the replay was a missed call. It's unfortunate we don't have replay in this league to turn that over, because you can't get any more sufficient evidence than that the call was missed. But that's part of the game. It's the way the cookie crumbles. Got to find a way to respond and get the next out.
Here's Kylie Sand, 1 ball and no strikes, facing Temples. 1-1. If Sand can reach, the pinch hitter due up, or not pinch hitter, it's Kelly Torres, who's back into the game in the lineup in place of Brookshire. She'd be due to hit. What a game so far for Hub City. After falling behind 7-3, a lot of energy right now at the plates, in the field, in the circle, and 1 out away from splitting the series and run ruling the Monarchs for a second time. I just ask, moving forward, please get the right jersey number on the fronts of Temples' threads.
That's a very strange scenario.
Never seen it before.
Me either.
Fly ball to center. Brown going back, twisting, turning, leaping, and making another catch. Unbelievable effort by Destiny Brown. Twice robbing the Monarchs of hits, and that catch ends the game.
She said, all right, you won't give me the double play on the diving catch and the throw out. I'll just make a leaping grab instead. Unbelievable from Destiny Brown. Has to recorrect her drop step, leaps at the perfect time, and holds on to it. Look at that snow cone all the way to the ground. Wow. Just
unreal effort from Destiny Brown. She and the Adelitas run rule the Monarchs, so we showed you some great play from the defense in the outfield from Brown, but at the plate, a lot of Adelitas stood out, but none more so than Lena Rebolledo. A 6 RBI day to include a bases clearing double in the 6th inning. Started the game with a home run to the first and really kind of set the tone for her afternoon.
Rebolledo was just locked in from pitch number 1, used all parts of the field, drove the inside pitch out of the park, nearly drove the outside pitch out of the park, and her teammates followed suit with just singles up and down the lineup and having a ton of fun while she does it.
So after losing in walk-off fashion last night, Hub City battles back from down 4 runs to run rule the Monarchs during a split of this 4-game series. Haley, what a start of this doubleheader.
I mean, you've had phenomenal defensive plays, offense up and down the lineup, home runs. This game had it all, capped off by none other than Destiny Brown with 2 phenomenal SportsCenter top 10-like plays.
And with that, we're going to wrap up our coverage of Game 1 of the doubleheader. For Haley McKay, I'm Brant Freeman, saying once again the final score in a 6-inning run rule. It is Hub City 15 and the Monarchs 7. This has been a presentation of the WPF. For more information, log on to WProFastPitch.com. Coming up next, it is the finale of the series between the Texas Smoke and the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave. Until then, we'll see you next time here in San Marcos.